Okay. Ritika madam.
Recent.
Hello, Murare Sahib, how are you? You are mute, sir. आप म्यूट हैं.
Yeah, sorry, sir.
नहीं, perfect है
I'm
भाई.
fine, sir. I'm fine. Thank you very much.
चलो, good to see you after a long time. Although online, but दिख तो रहे हैं.
sir.
आप अभी घर पे हैं क्या?
Yes, sir.
Working
Yes,
from home. अच्छा.
No, not working from home. I just for the this meeting because there was some problem in the internet connection in office today.
अच्छा.
So how are you?
Okay.
Good afternoon, all of you. It gives me pleasure to introduce to you all Dr. Rajesh Budade, sir. Sir is currently working as professor at Military College of Telecommunications Engineering, MCT Mau, Indore, MP, India. MCT is Premier Technical Training Institute of Indian Army, Ministry of Defence, Government of India for imparting advanced technology training on telecommunications and information technology to the in-service technical army officers. Sir has completed his PhD in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering. Sir has over 30 years of teaching experience. Presently, he is actively working in the field of computer vision, SDR and cognitive radio and IoT for defense systems. Sir has published over 25 papers and articles in national and international journals. His book on analysis of iris for biometric recognition systems has been published by Springer Publishers in 2014. Sir is honored with several awards and recognitions. Chief of Army Staff Medal on 26th January 2011 and General Officer Command-in-Chief Medal on 15th August 2013 for his outstanding contribution in teaching and research at MCT Mau. He is the first officer of Indian Army to receive Scholar Warrior Award of Army Training Command for the development of firing range automatic scoring system in 2015. Sir has been awarded a Certificate of Merit from Chief of Army Staff on 15 January 2017. He was once again awarded with Chief of Army Staff Medal on 23rd March January 2017 for the development of innovative and file deployable system firing range automatic scoring system. FRAS was demonstrated to the Prime Minister of India on Army Day, 15 January 2017. It was also demonstrated to the Army Chief and CDS General Vipin Rawat. His second innovation, Moving Target Scoring System, MTSS, is also selected among 10 best innovations of Indian Army for the year 2020. We are really blessed to have you, sir. We welcome you, sir. And with this, I invite you for your lecture, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for a very good and impressive introduction. First of all, I will like to thank the principal, director, management, and the team of HGS ITS for inviting me as a resource person to talk on some topic of the IoT and share my views, my experience with the all learned people. And I hope this session will be of not only going to be a simple lecture, but is going to be a learning experience to me and you both. So thanks a lot. I feel privileged to be a part of this FDP. So without taking more time, I'll just start my topic. So I'm presenting let me start my presentation.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
It's visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So interoperability issues of IoT. This is today's topic. So everyone is aware of IoT, but just for the sake of completeness, let me just go through this term. Internet of Things was first coined by Kevin Aston in around 1999, and it's basically the revolutionary technology where physical and virtual things could be connected to other things and to the communication medium that what is current internet infrastructure. Now this was the basic idea, and based on that, this European Research Cluster of Internet of Things (ERC) defined the IoT as under a dynamic global infrastructure with self-configuring capabilities based on standard and interoperable communication protocol. This word is important: standard and interoperable communication protocols, where physical and virtual things have identities, physical attributes, virtual personalities, and use intelligent interfaces, and are seamlessly integrated into a information network. So the very basic idea of this IoT to have standard interoperable communication protocol for seamless integration of all devices. So, and it is expected to be across the vendor, across the types, and across the services. But the reality is little different. We are still growing. The technology is still growing, and there are interoperability issues. We are going to discuss what is the importance of interoperability of the IoT, its concern, and what is the way ahead. I mean, how we can resolve that. So this is what will be covered in this particular session quickly. So we know there are various applications available of IoT in commerce, healthcare, agriculture, and so on. And all these verticals has legacy systems available which are not typically IoT based system, and then there are some IoT systems also get integrated. So actually all these verticals are required to be interconnected to get a horizontal depth also, and that is what is actually the main objective of this interoperability of the IoT devices. So if I start in last few years, many smart objects found in the physical world are interconnected and communicate through the existing internet infrastructure, which creates a global network infrastructure. But you see, this internet cannot be available at all the places, and therefore we require to actually go for different communication media, protocols, network, etc. Typically in Indian, typically in the scenario where agriculture, rural areas, defense, disaster management, all those places where this internet may not be available, and because internet will not be available, we actually require to create that infrastructure. And if that infrastructure has to be created, certain protocols, certain communication protocols, certain interoperability protocols has emerged, but that has not reached to the level that is expected. Research has been a substantial development of solutions for a wide range of devices and IoT platforms over past around 10 years. However, each solution provides its own IoT infrastructure, devices, APIs, communication protocol, data formats, and this leads to what we call as interoperability issues. Such interoperability issues are the consequences of many critical issues, because like vendor lock-in, impossibility to develop IoT application exposing cross-platform or cross-domain, difficulty in plugging non-interoperable IoT devices into the different IoT platforms. So I mean, these non-interoperable IoT devices are basically legacy devices which has limitation, like maybe some sensors which are analog sensors, legacy available in legacy systems. We also wanted the data also to be integrated with the existing platforms, which is actually a problem at present. Ultimately prevents the emergence of IoT technology at a large scale. If we actually resolve this interoperability issues, then probably we actually can make this IoT as a technology to be emerge as a great technology at large. To enable seamless resource sharing between different IoT vendors, efforts by several academia, industry, and standardization bodies have emerged to help the interoperability. Actually, there are some ways of carrying. I mean, there are certain standardization bodies working in this direction, but the global players actually is not responding to that to the level it is expected, which we'll be discussing in the further slides. The ability of multiple IoT platforms from different vendors to work together. Actually, this is what is required. Now, who are actually the leaders in this market? So Amazon, AWS, IoT, Cisco, then Jasper, IBM, whose IoT system is Watson, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Qualcomm. I mean, they have their own system. They have their own IoT, AWS, Jasper, Watson, HomeKit, Brillo, Azure IoT, all. And beside this, main major player who actually ruling the world, there are more than over 300 IoT platforms in the current market available, and many more to come. So there are there are these key players, 7, 8 up to 10 key players in the IoT market, and there are many actually available globally. So many platforms available, and every platform is heterogeneous. So there is something different than the other, and this actually creates the interoperability issue and the integration of the one devices, connecting of devices on one platform to other platform. Each of these platform promotes its own IoT infrastructure, proprietary protocols and interfaces, incompatible standards, formats, and semantics, which creates closed ecosystem. Sometimes we call as silos or stovepipes. This silos actually is a great hurdle in growth of these IoT technology. Nevertheless, necessity for these different solutions to seamlessly work together is also, and that IoT interoperability is also growing. It is not like no efforts are going on and things are not moving ahead. Things are definitely moving ahead, but still there are certain issues which we are going to discuss. Let us just understand why this interoperability is essential from this example, because there are, as in the previous slide, you can see that there were various leaders: Google, Qualcomm, Amazon, Samsung. All these are leaders in the IoT devices. They have their own platforms, and users are actually buying their solution for different application. Now let us take this particular as an example. What can be a future if interoperability would have been available, the seamless interoperability would have been available, how the situation would have been. Let us understand through this example. Smart home scenario that has full interoperability. The home is networked to enable multiple interconnected devices, services, and apps, from entertainment to healthcare, security, and home automation, to provide contextual experience for the household. Now let us consider first. These devices are from Google, Amazon, Samsung, Nest, Philips, Akai, and AL, are seamlessly integrated together and can be controlled or monitored within the home or outside. Now alarm clock on the user's mobile device automatically turns on Nest thermostat and switches on Philips Hue. Using voice command, Amazon Alexa Echo turns off the alarm and triggers the smart coffee machine to brew the coffee. Now, first, Philips platform, then Amazon platform, wearable band devices, integrable sensors, monitor heart rate, health, your health parameter, automatically sends data to doctor for analysis. The Samsung smart refrigerator checks the availability of daily essentials such as milks, bread, and order them automatically. Connected in a home, robot helps with everything from cooking, cleaning, and other daily works. Honeywell sensors and security detects unusual movements on sound at home and notify the homemaker through mobile or initiate emergency services. On the way to home, the connected car remotely turns on the Nest thermostat and can control other home devices. As the owner reaches home, the L Assure smart clock unlocks automatically. The Akai smart light brightens up the house, and Google Home start playing the preferred evening playlist automatically. See, all these players, vendors, devices actually are smart independently on their platform. But can we integrate this together? No, if we could integrate this together only if we have seamless interoperability among them. And this is what actually we are leading to. But that is not the reality. The reality is there is a lack of interoperability at various stages, at various levels. And let us understand what are those. The lack of IoT interoperability means that data can't be effectively exchanged across the disparate, sometimes overlapping devices and the system. Despite the lot of efforts, IoT interoperability for many vendors is still a goal to work towards. The large number of IoT solutions are proprietary and designed to operate only within predefined hardware or infrastructure environment. And examples actually includes, this is the reason is vendor specific chipsets or wireless connectivity bound to single third party backend. And this is a serious problem. Now, this lack of interoperability and vendor lock-in problems actually hampered the scalability. It has increased the cost because everything, when if you wanted to, even though you already have some solution of in one application area, you wanted to expand it, actually you need to take same solution from the new vendor. So technology instability is also there, and loss of network authority. These are the major limitations that is being occurred because of lack of interoperability. Interoperability has the potential to unlock more than $4 trillion per year, and this has been projected by McKinsey and Company recently. This is what is the actually revenue that could be generated if interoperability takes place. The Gartner identified interoperability as one of the top 3 challenges prevailing IoT from reaching its potential. So there are 3 challenges they have. 2 are very important. One is interoperability and second is security. So this, 2 things majorly actually, these are the 2 things which are identified by the Gartner. The lack of interoperability prevents device from connecting autonomously, discovering each other, and collaboratively engaging with other smart devices and services, which is a barrier for companies to build automated ecosystem. These automated ecosystems cannot be built unless and until we have a seamless interoperability. Now, let us understand this interoperability, how that has been defined by the various agencies. The Oxford Dictionary gives a general definition of interoperability as able to operate in conjunction. So this is what is the Oxford meaning. This implies that 2 interoperable systems can understand one another and use the functionality of each other. ISO ISC defines interoperability as the capability to communicate, execute program, or transfer data among various functional units in a manner that requires the user to have little or no knowledge of the unique characteristics of those units. And this is very important. Actually, user may not be knowing anything. So he just wanted seamless interoperability. He can have one solution, one application, say healthcare application from one form, the healthcare application from other form, then this car automation from the third, and he wanted that everything to be seamlessly interoperated without any knowledge of it. And IEEE has defined it as the ability of 2 or more systems or components to exchange information and to use the information that has been exchanged. So this is very important aspect actually IEEE has added. So it is not only the exchange of the information to be carried out, but the information which was already exchanged also should be usable by the other devices, so that based on that certain analysis can be carried out, and better decisions can be made on. According, I mean, the classical example, I mean, just to quote the example of this is what called as system learning on the fly. You must have watched that video of smart house. So the person coming from going to the dentist, come up with and try to open the his door on the voice command, and he could not get into, because his voice is changed completely. And this is what, that's why this, what they say, whatever information was exchanged, that information also required to be shared. If this is possible, then probably such type of things could be avoided. Although that was the advertisement, that was a funny video, but it was not far from the reality. It has some kind of reality embedded into it. According to this definition, interoperability is realized by devising standards. IoT interoperability can be defined as the ability of two systems to communicate and share services with each other seamlessly. Actually, Talk has given 6-level structure model of IoT interoperability. So you say first level is no connection. That means no interoperability between the systems. So your system is basically legacy system. So your sensors are connected, and whatever you are getting data, you are getting that for that particular system. There is absolutely no interconnectivity. There is no connection. The standalone system. The second level is say about technical basic connectivity and network connectivity is available. So basic level of interconnectivity is available. Semantical interoperability. So data exchange is possible in this interoperability. Semantic, understanding the meaning of that data. So that means the data format and the interpretation is available. Pragmatic, dynamic interoperability, applicability of the information. So where that information can be used, apply. And last is conceptual, shared view of the world. No, this is what to the level of certain little decision making level. A similar 6-level model was also proposed by the Panzer and his team, containing similar kind of thing: connection, communication, semantic, dynamic, behavioral, and conceptual. So which was equivalent to this model. So let us understand the taxonomy of the interoperability in the IoT. The interoperability issues in IoT arises due to heterogeneity. This point is very important because everything is heterogeneous. Now there are so many vendors of sensors. There are so many sensors coming up. There is a lot of advancement is going on the sensor side. There are so many processors available. Now you say earlier we used to work with the 8085, then we moved on 8085, then you got the ARM processor, ARM controller, then you have Peak, now you Arduino, Raspberry Pi, and so now you have Intel boards. So many processors available, so many devices available, so many communication protocol available. Now so many vendors available, so many devices available. So it's completely heterogeneous situation is available, and interoperability issue of IoT has arises because of this heterogeneity. Even in the physical world, there are many types of heterogeneity. For example, people speak. Now this is what an example analogy we are giving. People speak dissimilar languages, but they can still communicate with each other through a translator. So likewise, with this lot of heterogeneity, if you have to address this, we wanted some kind of translation or some kind of API sharing, some kind of platform sharing, so that interoperability can be achieved. As indicated in the next figure on the next slide, IoT interoperability can be seen from different perspectives, namely device interoperability, network interoperability, platform interoperability, semantic interoperability, and semantic interoperability. Now, this is a very well-connected IoT devices diagram, I can say. So this taxonomy this diagram will provide you everything. Now you can have network which can be wireless or wired. So that is what we talk about network interoperability, which we'll be discussing all these things on in details one by one. Now device interoperability, you can have high-end devices, you can have low-end devices, then you can have different communication protocols. The synthetic interoperability, you can have different type formats, schema, and interfaces. Semantic is can have different data models, information models, ontology, and platform. You have different operating system, different data structure, different programming language, and different application development platforms or domain. Now putting is all together, actually, if everything has a kind of interoperability available, then we can say that seamless interoperability will be available from platform to platform, device to device, network to network, and different data format to one for data format to different another data format, and of course including interfaces. Let us first understand about the device interoperability. And device interoperability also has been divided into two parts. Now, if you go on this, you have capabilities and you have, devices and the communication protocol. So we are talking about device interoperability with the processing device power. So, we can have this high-end IoT devices like Raspberry Pi and smartphones, which have adequately more computational power. Or you can have low-end IoT devices in terms of energy and processing power and communication capabilities, like Arduino, RFID tags, very low-cost sensors and actuators. So based on this, they have divided this into two type of devices: low-end and high-end. The microcontroller, actually microcontroller architecture and the key system characteristics of IoT devices decides on the processing speed, RAM, communication technology, battery capability, and which differs actually from one brand to other brand and even model to model. One of the very important aspect of IoT devices is actually it is low powered. This is what is the one of the very essential requirement, and is low powered, low resources. Still we wanted to have a seamless interoperability. So this is what is actually a challenge. Device interoperability in terms of communication protocols. So various communication protocols are emerged due to the different requirements of the IoT market. So for example, IoT devices such as smart TV, printers, air conditioner, support our traditional Wi-Fi technologies and 3G, 4G or cellular communication technologies. Most recent IoT medical devices are based on NT+ standards. Wearable devices mostly support Bluetooth Smart or even Bluetooth Low Power, BLE technology, and NFC. Environmental sensors generally use Zigbee or LoRa. Beside these protocols, the standard communication protocols are utilized for smart devices, sensors, actuators, Z-Wave, Zigbee, wireless HART, and non-standard protocols like LoRa, Sigfox, etc. Actually, LoRa is also now making an attempt to come to a standardization, because they are now providing this LoRa WAN. This LoRa WAN, actually they are providing the connectivity, protocol translation LoRa to the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet protocol. That is what is available. So we'll be discussing these particular aspects later. Sorry. Now continuing on the device interoperability, in the absence of de facto communication standards, not all smart devices implement all these communication technologies. This is the issue. In some cases, the device that want to exchange information may be using different communication technologies, which requires interoperability between the different types of heterogeneous devices that coexist in the IoT ecosystem. Device interoperability refers to enabling the integration and interoperability of such heterogeneous devices with various communication protocol and standards supported by heterogeneous IoT devices. So device interoperability is concerned with the exchange of information between the heterogeneous devices and heterogeneous communication protocol. Both are heterogeneous. The ability to integrate new devices into any IoT platform. These actually have two major concerns. So new devices and with even existing devices, devices are heterogeneous and heterogeneous platform communication protocols. The next comes out to be the network interoperability. The network that IoT devices will be operating on will continue to be heterogeneous, multi-service, multi-vendor, and largely distributed. This is a fact. Can't have same networks across all vendors, all services, because as your services keep on changing, so services are related to the cost of the system, and of course related to the different different vendors as well. Now, with this particular scenario, your network cannot be homogeneous. Your network can be always going to be different. IoT devices generally rely on various short-range wireless communication and interworking technologies, which is rather more intermittent and unreliable. This is one serious problem. Now, IoT devices actually, network range of the IoT devices is on the wireless communication is comparatively short and with low data rate. So, which are less reliable compared to the traditional communication links. Network layer interoperability deals with mechanism to enable seamless message exchange between system through different networks. What we call as networks of network for end-to-end communication. Due to dynamic and heterogeneous network environment in IoT, the network interoperability level should handle issues such as addressing, routing, resource optimization, security, quality of service, and mobility support. So these are the aspects which are actually required to be addressed through the network interoperability. We'll be discussing the details of this in the subsequent slides. Syntactical interoperability. Syntactical interoperability refers to interoperation of the data formats as well as the data structure used in any exchange information or services. So it is actually very important. Definitely, all different platforms, different vendors, different protocols actually are using different semantic because their data formats and their data structure is different, and that data structure even may not be standard. So that's a big challenge. An interface needs to be defined for each resource, exposing some structure according to the schema. WSDL and REST APIs are the examples of it. So this in WSDL and REST API, they have provided interfaces to for the interoperability. The content of message need to be serialized to be sent over the channel and the format to do so, such as XML or JSON. The message encodes data in a message. This error. The sender encodes data in a message using semantic rules specified in some grammar. The receiver decodes the received message using the same rule defined in this same or some other grammar. This interoperability problems arises when sender encoding rules are incompatible with the receiver decoding rules, which leads to mismatching or misinterpretation of the message. So this grammar is also important. And then semantic interoperability. Semantic interoperability is enabling different agents, services, and applications to exchange information, data, and knowledge in a meaningful way on and off the web. So these words are important: information, data, and knowledge. Now, where if you see, we have discussed that we wanted that whatever data was available, that also required exchange or use, that also required to be shared to some level, so to gain actually knowledge out of it. And therefore this semantic interoperability of operability is required. The IoT addresses the current fragmentation by exposing things and systems, data and metadata through API. But the unfortunate part is such efforts have been hampered because the corresponding parties need to share knowledge of their API, and many devices do not speak the same language and cannot exchange across different gateways and smart hubs. To be more precise, the data generated by things about the environment may have a defined data format, but the data models and schemas used by different sources are usually dissimilar and are not compatible. And this is the very common case in most of the networks, most of the IoT networks. Beside this, the data may be represented in diverse units of measurements and consist of other information as well. So the units of measurement is also required to be same, and that is not possible, that is not possible to be ensured always. That therefore this will be taken care of semantic interoperability. This semantic incompatibility between data models and information models results in IoT system not being able to dynamically and automatically interoperate, as they have different description or understanding of resources and operational procedure. Even if IoT systems expose their data and resources to the others, even if data and their resources are available, unless and until the semantic interoperability is not available, we will not be able to understand that particular data. And next is actually platform interoperability. Platform interoperability issues actually arises because of the diverse operating systems, different programming languages, different data structures and architectures that has been used for implementing the IoT solution. There are currently many different OS developed specifically for IoT devices such as RIoT 9, TinyOS, OpenWSN, etc. Each with several versions and deliver services to the users. Beside the IoT platform providers such as Apple, HomeKit, Google, Brillo, Amazon, AWS IoT, IBM Watson provide different operating systems, programming languages, and data structures. Apple, just an example, Apple HomeKit supports its own open source language script. Google Brillo uses Wave, and Amazon's AWS IoT offers software development kit for embedded C and Node.js. So now this is such a heterogeneous environment of operating system, programming language, platforms, everything, and this makes actually platform totally inoperable with each other. This non-uniformity causes hurdles for application developer to develop cross-platform and cross-domain IoT application. Developers need to obtain extensive knowledge of the platform-specific APIs and information models of each different platform, so that their application can be ported from one platform to other platform. Cross-platform IoT applications can access different IoT platforms and integrate data from various platforms. For example, consider the application scenario. A user who has health problem uses an IoT cross-platform application every day to help him with his everyday task. The IoT application connect to the user smart health platform of wearable sensors to continuously monitor his health and in emergency locate him and send an ambulance. The same application can also access a smart city platform to buy a ticket to the user desired destination to go to the desired destination and show the fastest route to the bus or train station. The cross platform interoperability between things and data in this scenario enables interoperability across separate IoT platform specific to one vertical domain such as smart home, to another vertical domain smart healthcare or smart garden, etc. After cross-platform interoperability is enabled, cross-domain interoperability can be achieved in which different platforms within the heterogeneous domains are federated to build horizontal IoT application. And this is what actually you have one vertical, your second vertical, you have smart home vertical, you have smart healthcare vertical, you have smart garden vertical, you can have the smart office vertical, you can have smart car vertical, and these all verticals actually are connected. These are different platforms. These are interconnected, so that you get a horizontal IoT application. So all interconnected together, like this. So you have IoT platform 1 for one application, IoT platform B for another application, C for another application, and they are related devices interconnected to each other. And now other service from device form platform B can achieve the services through platform A and vice versa. This is what is required. I mean, some kind of mesh type of network is expected in the IoT devices, and which we'll be discussing slightly later. And whenever we wanted to go like a mesh, then there are certain issues on the protocol and the existing protocols on use of the existing protocols. Now this we have already discussed this. This is another challenge. Connectivity challenges in IoT. Connectivity is an important component of IoT because it plays a vital role in transport of data from one sensor and transmission of instruction to the actuators. So actually data is moving from one place to other place, one sensor to other sensor, or to the actuator or to the processor through this communication network connectivity. In the context of IoT, connectivity can be evaluated at various levels. The first level is actually frequency band at physical layer. Then you have MAC protocol at data link layer, network protocol and mobility at the network layer. We'll discuss both the things, network protocols and mobility protocols at network layer separately. Then you have transport protocols at transport layer and application protocol, of course, at application layer, and some other aspects as well. Now, say this is very interesting, and this is what actually we face the problem. Frequency, no, say we have different bands dedicated for different type of applications, and we are fine with that. But because IoT domain is such that it is having heterogeneous devices, its data rate, frequency, everything is going to be used or interused with one type of devices to other type of devices, one type of application to other type of application. So this different frequency band at physical layers and different standards also makes the things vulnerable. The most fundamental challenge is actually the market availability of IoT devices that conform to the right frequency band in the country of deployment. Different worldwide regulatory bodies define the frequency spectrum in different countries. A common license band for IoT worldwide may not be possible since government auctions are used worldwide to sell spectrum band to the operators. Now, because we provide different band, India may provide different band, China may provide different band, US may provide different band. This leads to interoperability problem in the IoT where devices manufactured for one country may not work in another. Without waiting for the formalized license spectrum for IoT, because there is no formalized license spectrum available for the IoT as such globally, many of the vendors have already started manufacturing IoT products on the ISM band, because this ISM band is actually free to use, and therefore this is what is being used almost in all IoT applications. But the issue is ISM bands are also not the same around the world either. The popular bands for deploying the IoT solutions are 433 megahertz, 868 megahertz, 915 megahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, and now recently 5.1 gigahertz band as well. So this, you can see this worldwide ISM band. So which is varying from America to Europe to Africa to Asia to Australia. And therefore the common whatever is available, that is selected: 433, 68, 915, 2.4, and now recently 5.1 gigahertz also. This is what is the issue on the frequency use, and this is with the ISM band. Now any other band which are licensed band used for another application, so every country will have definitely different aspect, different frequency allocation for that. After frequency, second biggest challenge of the IoT is interconnectivity at the data link layer, because the presence of different vendors who have preferred towards one technology or another. So the technology used by the different vendors are going to be different. So some may use Wi-Fi, some may use Bluetooth, some may use Zigbee, proprietary sub 1 gigahertz protocols, though many proprietary vendors use these sub 1 gigahertz protocols, powerline communication, fieldbus, and many others. Moreover, many of the MAC protocols have already been enhanced to cater the better battery life. This is what one important aspect of the IoT, or I will not say issue. We actually wanted, because IoT devices required to be very low power, battery power consumption devices. So if we wanted power consumption of the devices to be low, battery to be used for a longer time, the existing MAC protocol also has been modified to improve the battery life. See, for example, Bluetooth has been modified to Bluetooth Low Energy, that's BLE protocol, and Wi-Fi has been modified to low power Wi-Fi, so that it suits the IoT power requirements. Continuing the MAC protocol, addressing heterogeneity at the MAC layer is the main aim of many standardization bodies to ensure interoperability between the IoT devices. Now, to address this heterogeneity at the MAC layer, various standardization agencies has come together and given some solutions. The implementation of the same technology span over different layers of the OSI model. So it makes actually difficult to come to the consensus. Furthermore, standardization bodies don't run certification program, but they actually just give the guidelines. It just propose the good practices for the implementation, and it is nothing like which is documented and required to be followed. And from the manufacturer actually adopt only a portion of the standard and add their own flavor to the product for differentiation purpose. मतलब अपनी एक USP दिखाने के लिए, showing the strength of their product, they generally and to keep something proprietary. The manufacturers actually do not adopt all the standards. Network protocols and mobility protocols at the network layer. So first, we'll be discussing about TCP/IP stack issues, because ultimately this is the one of the very important aspect which at a network protocol. The most prevailing protocol for connecting devices to the internet is TCP/IP, because this IoT started with the communication network was internet. That was the major part of it, and then we started using different communication media. Even if you consider that internet is available everywhere, so still there is a problem of interoperability at the network layer. because the existing TCP/IP stack is not suitable for the constrained IoT devices. Internet Engineering Task Force, this IETF, is trying to modify this TCP/IP protocol stack for the IoT. Now, what is the problem with this existing TCP/IP stack with reference to IoT devices? The biggest challenge of TCP/IP in IoT is maximum transmission unit MTU size. So the MTU size of the existing TCP/IP is more than 1500 bytes, whereas IoT devices operate with much smaller MTU, which is around 127 bytes. So this mismatch, because of this mismatch, the existing TCP/IP stack cannot be used, and therefore there is a problem at the network layer for the interoperability of the various devices. Now, why this IoT devices operates at a very small MTU? The IPv6 specification further complicate this situation because they include two design decisions that cause the problems for a small MTU links. Now, this we have moved from IPv4 to IPv6. This IPv6 has actually 40-byte header, fixed 40-byte header along with the actually your packet. So it actually add overhead on this MTU size. And IPv6 specifies the network to support the minimum MTU of 1280 bytes, and this is unrealistic for constrained devices. Now, IPv6 also signify that minimum MTU should be of 1280 byte, whereas the IoT devices operate at MTU of 127. So this and obviously this MTU in the IoT devices is going to be small because we wanted latency to be very low. Data rate is also very low, are available very low. The power available to the devices are very small. Processing power available to the devices is very small. With this all constraint, is MTU cannot be as big as what we are handling in existing TCP/IP stack. So this multi-link, subband and other problems at network layer, where IPv4 and IPv6 consider only two types of layer 2 networks. Firstly, multi-access link, so where multiple nodes are connected to the same access network, or secondly, point-to-point links where there is only two nodes, between any two nodes there is a single link. Now this is the multi-link subnetting possible with the IPv4 and IPv6. However, actually what is required in IoT deployment is a need of mesh network, where a collection of layer 2 links is joined without a presence of layer 3 routing device. Now what happens in our conventional computer network, we have layer 3 switch available for routing, but in IoT this luxury is not available. So we wanted this layer 2 link only to be used for
Sir, there is some problem in your network, sir. Hello.
or and
Sir, you are not audible properly.
Which are DSCP, ARP, are actually not supporting these mesh networks. So hence there is a need to develop a intra-subnet routing protocols that are energy efficient. If some intra-subnet routing protocols are developed, and this is what is the
Sir,
open
sorry for
research domain
interrupt.
still available for. Yeah.
Sir, your slide is not visible, sir.
Now,
Please present it
just
once
a minute.
again.
It's not visible for since what?
Just this last slide, sir.
Okay, okay.
वो presentation mode हट गया है सर वहाँ से.
Just a minute. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, it's visible now.
So shall I put on slide mode?
Yes, sir.
I hope it is visible now.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
तो सर आपके
So I
यहाँ
was
पे मेरे
talking
ख्याल से
actually-
बैंडविड्थ का इश्यू होगा तो आप आपका वीडियो ऑफ कर सकते हैं चाहे तो.
No, I don't
Yeah.
think it's a video
अच्छा.
bandwidth problem. I don't think
ठीक
it's
है.
a bandwidth problem. So I was talking about actually this is a very typical requirement. No, IoT being a low powered, low resource devices, the platforms. So this multi-access link or point-to-point links are not useful, but we want a mesh network. So IoT deployment basically is a mesh network. And if we go for this mesh network, our existing legacy protocols such as ARP or DSCP or the neighbor discovery actually are not useful, and therefore there is a need of actually developing intra-subnet routing protocols. And this is the researchers in the field of IoT. This is what is the one domain which is available to them, so they can definitely think on or develop, carry out some work. Some work is going on, but still a lot of lot of work can be carried out on intra-subnet routing protocols for the IoT. And these protocols are required to be energy efficient. Network protocols and mobility protocols at network layer. So IP-based multicast issues. IP-based multicast is another problem area in the IoT networks. IP protocols use multicast for notification purposes and making query without knowing the address of devices. So it is like broadcasting. So IP multicast is actually broadcast. So don't know the address, you just send information. Anyone who want, you will catch it. Otherwise, your information be not required, will be ignored. So this multi-hop actually in a multi-hop mesh network, multicast and broadcast has a traverse across, will go through various nodes, because this is not point to point or point to multi-point connectivity. It is basically a mesh network, so data moves through one node to another node. So it travels across many nodes, thus consuming excessive power at the nodes, intermediate nodes, even when that data was not required to them. That broadcast was not required to them, but they have compulsory to go through that particular data. Secondly, most of the IoT devices are designed to sleep, to conserve power. So they are generally in sleep mode, and it may possible that the important multicast or broadcast message may be missed out in their sleeping mode, and which will create problems in the data connectivity or the decision making. Now these are the IP-based multicast issues actually available with the IoT devices. We don't have problem on the computer network on this. There is therefore a need to redesign the protocols to minimize the use of IP multicast in IoT networks. This is another area where researchers can work. for the IoT network. So minimize this use of IP multicast. How we can minimize this? How much we can minimize it? What are the constraints? I mean, how many nodes of mesh network you will be considering? Based on that, I think good PhDs can be carried out. I hope. Then continuing this, routing protocols issues. The routing protocol also need to be adopted in the IoT network. Traditional mesh routing protocols are not suitable for constrained devices because at present so far, actually, whatever routing protocols we are using, EVDO, etc., are being used for the IoT as well. But those protocols are not really suitable. They flood actually whole network during the convergence phase. The flooding of whole network is too expensive for the IoT devices. So it is actually hampering, straightway the power. It makes to consume more power, and which is not advisable. So there are already some proposals with the IETF, like IETF 802.15.5 standards to support link layer routing for mesh network. So this is also one area, although I have not really explored this to the level. But still, this is also area. I mean, development of routing algorithms for IoT, one open research area for the researchers. Transport protocol at transport layer. Transport layer is a internet provides congestion control, guaranteed and in order delivery of the packets. These provisions are efficiently used by the TCP protocol. And we have already discussed the issues of the TCP IP stacks with the IoT network, where the devices has low resources and a mesh network. So therefore, this TCP is not suited for IoT application, as IoT devices offer varying traffic pattern due to their limitations. Firstly, due to the energy conservation requirement, IoT devices usually go into the sleep mode after transmission or receiving the packet, making it difficult to maintain the communication and acknowledgement channel. Secondly, IoT device send receive only small amount of data, and TCP handshaker impose too much overhead on these devices. It is something like charane ki murgi aur barane ka masala. I mean, actually data shared by the IoT device is very small, and the handshake signal for the TCP is going to be huge. So actually more power is used for more power and more bandwidth used for actually the handshaking rather than the data transmission. And thirdly, IoT application have low latency requirement, and TCP has too much delay. This is very serious problem actually. So if you wanted this latency to be low, this TCP IP stack has to be modified as what is required with the IoT. And some work is going on. There are a lot of research going on, but I mean, the acceptable solution is still not available. Finally, IoT applications operate in lossy domain. In order delivery and retransmission would block the communication until all previous packets have been successfully delivered. This is the last point. Some of the IoT protocols like ZigBee still maintain support for TCP, while the rest of the protocols like BACnet, COAP have proposed to build TCP like transport functionality in the application layer and use UDP as the transport protocol. This is also a field which is open for the researchers. Mobility protocol. Many IoT solutions such as vehicle tracking, patient tracking, personal tracking, asset management, logistic requires IoT devices to be mobile. The current mobile IP protocol are not suited for IoT use case because they impose too many message exchanges for establishing mobility that affect the battery life of the IoT devices. IoT devices may not have full mobile IP stacks. deployed on them, as they have actually limited CPU and memory available with them. Two mobility protocols are being considered for IoT are actually host-based mobility, which works on traditional mobile IP, which requires mobile node and further things. And second is network-based mobility, where mobile node is not required. Let us go through this quickly. Host-based mobility. In host-based mobility, this works on traditional mobile IP concept, which requires mobile node or the IoT device, one gateway, at least one gateway to reach to the internet or the any communication network, home agent to manage the mobility, and tunnel packets to the new location of the IoT device. This mobile node is required to have globally reachable IP address in its home network, and even it moves to a new network, it is required to update its HA about the care of address. I mean, what changes has been carried out, so that this home agent can keep track of it and keep him connected. The HA then makes the tunnel to a new gateway in order to deliver the packets to the IoT devices. This type of mobility scheme requires the IoT devices to participate in the mobility management and is the way to costly on the battery. Now this is okay, but it actually consumes a lot of battery. Furthermore, IoT networks are designed to be configured in a mesh topology. So any device moment would require intermediate mesh nodes to forward the mobility management messages on behalf of the mobile node. This would result into excessive power consumption in the intermediate node too. So considering this, the other option is available is network-based mobility, where you actually don't require mobility node in the mobility stack. Instead, an agent that resides in the gateway of the IoT network handles the mobility messages on behalf of mobile node. And therefore, you can see what is now coming to the consensus on this side. So almost all type of protocols is providing this Ethernet gateway. Now, LoRa is also providing Ethernet connectivity on its gateway. This possible with Bluetooth also is possible with USB also is possible with all type of connectivity on almost all type of interfaces. Ethernet interface compatibility is being provided. So this gateway management is going big way actually to carry out the interoperability issues in the IoT devices. So we will see this slightly in the next some forthcoming slides. The gateway, generally known as mobility access gateway, automatically determines the presence of new mobile node and perform the signaling required to set up the tunnels with the local mobility anchor. LMA in this scheme acts as HA and intercept the packets for that particular mobile node, which then forwarded to the mobility access gateway. The one problem which we have discussed is actually multiple proprietary vendors challenges. These IETF and IEEE are purely standardizing bodies that offer best practices for the IoT. These recommendations only serve as guidelines for the bodies that offer certification for the IoT products. The certification bodies often adopt just a portion of the IETF or IEEE standards for a very obvious reason, because they wanted to save on some cost. Four well-known bodies that manage certification programs today to ensure heterogeneous interoperability between the IoT devices are Wi-Fi Alliance for wireless LAN technology, Bluetooth Special Internet Group SIG for Bluetooth enabled devices, Zigbee Alliance for Zigbee compatible devices, LoRa Alliance for worldwide IoT devices. However, the problem lies in the fact that this certification increases the cost of the IoT deployment, and many vendors choose not to conform to the standard so that they can keep their cost down on one side, and other side they wanted to keep some kind of propriety of their their product, so that they can show some edge over their competitor. The legacy system challenges are also serious. Many vendors and solution providers have been offering closed loop vertical solutions like building management, home automation, vehicle tracking, personal tracking, etc. The problem with this solution is that they were never designed to connect to the internet, so that data is actually contained in their own domain only. The challenges faced today by IoT because of these solutions are: firstly, it is too expensive to upgrade these systems to take advantage of IoT. And secondly, the data models deployed in these systems are based on old database technology like rational databases, which may not conform to the concept of non-rational big databases. This gives opportunity to the research community to develop IoT middleware. This is actually another research area where researchers can think of development of middleware to integrate these legacy systems, legacy devices, legacy I should not say IoT devices, but legacy sensor-based systems to incorporate with the new IoT systems that can translate between legacy systems and newer IoT systems. The middleware employs the concept of protocol translation and offers node resource discovery so that IoT systems can take advantage of legacy system. The next is management challenges in the IoT. At present, although this network is actually going restricted to the personal or the organizational use, this is not actually come up with a completely big way network. This is still going remain as a personal network, but with increase in the interoperability or resolving the interoperability issues, this network is going to become huge network, and the management challenges are going to be increased exponentially at that point of time. So let us try to understand this quickly. Network management solutions have always been needed to manage the network devices, equipment, services in traditional internet. However, with IoT, there is a need to manage things that may not be fully compliant to the internet standards. The traditional management protocols for remote control, monitoring, and maintenance, such as Simple Network Management Protocol, that is SNMP, will not work with IoT devices. Apart from traditional management requirements, IoT introduces additional management requirements such as self-configuration, network reconfigurations, power management, application reconfiguration, and data management system. Moreover, the characteristics of the IoT data is very heterogeneous in the sense that different IoT devices produce different data type, different data format. There is an inaccuracy in the sense data. There are scalability problems in the data. So what kind of, if I have to summarize this is a big issue. Actually, this is a big topic. A lot of work is going on this area also. So I'm just summarizing this. I refer one paper for this. Based on that, I have made this slide. This configuration management, how to set up IoT devices, device one at time and in batches. Ownership of the IoT devices, multiple application relationship between the IoT devices, network connectivity, asynchronous transaction support, network recompatibility, all this will be carried out under the configuration management. IoT device control, turning IoT device on or off, disconnecting IoT device from network, waking up and sending IoT device to sleep, monitoring services, determine the issues, determine the status of IoT devices to know if they are running, listening, down or sleeping, etc. Network status monitoring, network topology discovery, notification, IoT device log, etc., etc. IoT device performance, monitoring network performance, monitoring IoT device quality of service, etc. IoT device maintenance, detecting network failure, detecting device failure, over the air software update, patch update, protocol version update, some driver update, etc. IoT device energy management, management of energy resources, energy level management, estimated lifespan before battery change, security and privacy management, authorization of IoT devices, authentication of IoT devices, access control of IoT devices, security bootstrapping mechanism, IoT device ownership, IoT device to application authorization. So with all these issues and challenges, things are moving on, attempts are going on. So but if we could move ahead, so what we can achieve? The secret to the scalable IoT network. If we achieve the interoperability, we are going to make the IoT network scalable. Leveraging the standard-based software-driven communication platform with built-in open interfaces allows for easy deployment in legacy environment while ensuring long-term interoperability with cross-vertical hardwares and systems. This is what is actually required, and to get this, what all we are discussed required to be resolved. Now, quickly, I mean, just to keep the time restriction delivered in a given time. So I have just another 10 minutes, I hope. There are various approaches to achieve the interoperability. So first approach is adapter and gateways. As I told, no, I have some one protocol to be used. So convert this protocol USB, for example, data is coming on USB port, convert this to Ethernet port. So we have adapters and gateways available of such things. So use these adapters and gateways so that this some kind of interoperability is possible with different systems, but of course not 100%. Virtual networks, overlay based solutions, networking technologies, IP based approaches, software defined networking, that is SDN, network function virtualization, fog computing are the networking technologies which are being researched and proposed for addressing these interoperability issues. Open API is also one very good option, but less likely that all vendor will agree to this. If Open API architecture comes in, probably many issues of interoperability can be resolved, but this is less likely to happen. Service-oriented architecture is also actually some can address some of interoperability issues. Semantic web technologies and open standard. Most important is actually if you can have some kind of open standard, and then Open API as an open standard actually can provide the complete interoperability, but which is less likely to happen 100%. So the use of adapter and gateways and the network technologies approach actually is the key handling approaches to achieve the interoperability in the days to come. Designing an IoT architecture for interoperability, the first approach is software-driven technologies. And industrial environment, IoT devices often abide by a rigorous set of safety and reliability regulations. Deploying wireless solutions with the hardware-driven approaches is challenging. In this regard, as you are bound to certain device type, you must depend on the respective vendors to go through the certification process. The software-driven technologies, on the other hand, can be flexible, plugged in any legacy devices and infrastructure that already meet your operational requirement, whether sensors or industry PC. And therefore, this IP-based and what we say open architectures are actually considered to be the key point to it. And we should have open interfaces. Now, only software-driven will not be useful. Software-driven architecture will always require open interfaces. IoT interoperability on the application layer entails effective data transfer to different user applications, systems, and servers. Open source messaging protocols like MQTT, COAP, and application programming interfaces (APIs) are key drivers for cross-application interoperability. In a private network architecture, having these open interfaces natively embedded in the IoT gateways enable direct data transfer to your preferred backend for analytics and visualization without relying on a third-party managed server. There is an industry heading to achieve interoperability there are two key areas companies are focusing on to improve interoperability. So one is IoT standardization and converge smart ecosystem. So probably they are sharing their platforms, tying up together and carrying out the things. So these are the things industry is doing. Many technology companies are developing interoperability solutions by adopting standards and open source deployment. Here are some of the groups working to improve IoT standardization. So Open Connectivity Foundations has carried out a lot of work. One M2M, Thread Groups, RTI Industrial Internet Consortium. They are working in actually carrying out this convert smart ecosystem. Consumers' expectations for IoT are high. They believe IoT solutions should be delivered and managed seamlessly, with product and services working together behind the scenes. To meet this expectation, global brands are working together to establish innovative partnership to deliver connectivity of devices and seamless user experiences. So, which is creating actually a hopeful future. The IoT market is attracting a large number of vendors and other players, including standalone device providers, platform enablers, and service-based ecosystems. However, in attempt to grab IoT market share, these vendors and solution providers are fragmenting the market, worsening interoperability, which is the very problem they are trying to solve. It is likely that battle between the standard and ecosystem will persist for next 3 to 5 years again, still further. However, like any industry, we will witness the rise of disruptive innovators and niche players that cover the whole spectrum of products and services, which will lead to consolidation through aggressive mergers and acquisitions. And players like Google, Apple, Amazon, Samsung have the potential to create interoperable ecosystem that include not only their own devices, but those of third-party devices makers. Actually, they have already started with this. These technology leaders need to focus in innovating integrated smart ecosystem. They should continue their effort of opening APIs, which is very essential, still not happening the level it is required, and ensuring products integrate with their ecosystem. Irrespective of the way interoperability will take shape, the future potential is very exciting. I finished. I'm open for the question answer session.
So, Professor Borade, I have one question from the practice.
Sir,
So, if someone wants to have his home as a smart home, I mean, is it economically viable right now, or one should wait?
No, it is as I told. If you're thinking of only not thinking of going for expanding the infrastructure, you're using limited sensors, and what are proprietary protocols that is giving. If you're not looking at your existing solution should get integrated with or interoperable with the next solution. That means you don't want to upgrade it. The solutions are not very costly. But they are actually limited to one vertical only. They are verticals. No, you can't connect verticals into two verticals together. That's the problem. If you wanted to go for that, probably that will require that cost will be more. But the IoT solutions, smart home solutions, etc., are not very costly now. Affordable.
What are the vendors that you normally suggest? I mean, do you have any preference, or one has to do some study for?
No, I have some list. I don't often remember.
You can share me later on. We can send on email or something.
I'll send you. I can share you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. It's very informative talk.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Mr. Pawan Roth, can you please unmute your mic and ask the question? Mr. Pawan Roth. So there is one question from Mr. Pawan Roth. He's asking that sir, is there any drawback?
Drawback of?
This interoperability issues.
Yeah, there may be some issues, interoperability. I mean, it's a good question. No, there may be some security threats probably available, but that also can be, with the help of standardization, that also can be addressed. The key is actually standardization. Of course, when you open the API and if you provide the open API and open architecture, there are always some threats, right, of some players making misuse of it. But with the standardization agencies coming into the line and industry going hand in hand, I don't think, and once some certain thing matures after time, that will be automatically taken care of. So if you can recall the one slide where I say McKinsey has given in study that there are 3 key factors in in the IoT that is required to be carried out. One is actually interoperability. Hand in hand goes the security. The security aspect is also not been addressed the level it is required. So if interoperability go in hand with the security, I don't think that will be that is going to be a really issue. But yes, if interoperability goes without taking care of the security aspects, yes, then there may be some issues.
Any other question from participant side?
Sir, one question from my side.
Yes, madam.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, my question is that you said that IoT is going to operate MTU of 127 bytes, but the computer has MTU of 1500 bytes.
Yes,
so
yes,
how
yes.
the two are going to interoperate? What will?
So that's
How
why
to-
this actually
Yeah.
this is what the research is required. Now what happens now, what actually happening at present, why IoT is not growing? No, IoT is growing at level. No, if you wanted to use our existing TCP IP stack, which is generally used in most of the present IoT solutions, where we are not concentrating on the power. I mean, we are considering that I have sufficient power available with my devices. But if you wanted to make use of these IoT solutions in say in applications like rural areas, forest, or defense battlefield, or the disaster management, where you don't have this structure. I mean, smartphone banane ke liye koi problem hi nahi na. No, you have a power available, you have everything available, you have processing power available, you have battery available, you can change the battery whenever it is required. The problem starts when actually you wanted to create a mesh network. If you are not creating a mesh network, there is no serious problem. But this is keeping this IoT technology limited to very specific application. Like, it is not going to the farming it is the required to be. It is not going to the forest application is required to be. It is in a smartphone, smart home, smart offices, or the smart car. It is limited to this. Unless and until you don't remove this particular barrier, and that's why that research is required. So that is the open domain. I mean, if you wanted really to use IoT with low power, low processing power, low power consumption, then this 127 byte is a limit. You can't use your TCP IP stack on that.
Thank you, sir.
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharma sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Murali sir, namaskar.
Namaskar, sir.
So, on the behalf of our whole team of this FDP, I really wish to thank Dr. Borade sir for delivering a very nice summing up lecture on the issues related to interoperability, not only interoperability, but also various other issues like connectivity, frequency band issues, proprietary issues, management issues. So through this lecture, we could come to know that there are many issues which are to be handled and managed before the actual implementation of IoT SIMs in the market. And this information is very useful to all of us who are related to the design of such operating devices to interact with each other in an easy manner. So thank you, sir, so much for delivering this information to all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for patient listening. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
मनीष, कल से फिर 2 ही लैब ही है ना दोनों?